Sports Grid News Update.
Well, Dane, in the NFL, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the new CBA proposal that could be voted on later this week is expected to include expansion for the playoffs, adding a 7th team per conference. Right now, 6 teams per conference make the postseason, as you well know, with the 1 and 2 seeds in each conference earning first-round byes. Under this reported proposal, which would go into effect this year, potentially 7 teams per conference would qualify for the playoffs, but only the number 1 seeds in each league would get the bye. As you were just discussing, TMZ was first to report Browns left tackle Greg Robinson, who is set to be released, was arrested by the Border Patrol for federal charge of possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. The criminal complaint cited Robinson having near 157 pounds of marijuana in his possession. For context, this sports update anchor weighs 160 pounds. In baseball, Cubs manager David Ross said Wednesday that he is committed to Chris Bryant as the team's leadoff man for 2020. Bryant told reporters on Wednesday morning in Arizona that he was open to the idea and had discussed it privately with Ross. Now it sounds like the plan is officially in place. Byron Buxton participated in live batting practice on Wednesday in Twins camp. Buxton needed surgery last September to repair a torn labrum in his left shoulder. Great news from Daytona. Ryan Newman was released from Halifax Hospital, was able to walk out on his own. Newman, of course, was sent to the hospital after a horrific crash ended his bid at a win for the Daytona 500. The NBA is back. The Bucks are at the Pistons. Heat visit the Hawks. Hornets are visiting the injured Chicago Bulls, but yet Chicago still -5 at 210 over-under in that one. Nets at 76ers. Grizzlies travel to Sacramento to take on the Kings, and the Rockets start the second half by taking on the Golden State Warriors. In the college ranks, Duke lost on the road to NC State 88-66. I'm Dan Strafford, and this has been your Sports Grid News Update.
Let's check in with our good friend Dan Strafford for an update on what's going down around the world of sports here on this Wednesday morning.
Sports Grid News Update.
Well, Jared, it seems as though we'll get a, quote, parting of ways to kick off the post-All-Star break games in Cleveland. According to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, the Cavaliers and John Beilein will part ways with J.B. Bickerstaff Jr. being promoted to the top position. Beilein is expected to say goodbye to staff and players late on Wednesday afternoon when they return from the All-Star break. Wojnarowski is also reporting Beilein and the Cavs negotiated a financial settlement. Wojnarowski also reporting on Tuesday that after agreeing to a contract buyout with the Detroit Pistons, guard Reggie Jackson plans to sign with the L.A. Clippers upon clearing waivers. Other top contenders wanted Jackson, but Jackson's eyes were always on the Clips. Nets guard Kyrie Irving aggravated the right shoulder injury that caused him to miss 26 games earlier this season. He is scheduled to meet with another shoulder specialist. In the NFL, Seahawks have signed tight end Greg Olsen, formerly of the Panthers, of course, to a 1-year, $7 million contract, enough money to keep him out of the television play-by-play booth. The deal includes $5.5 million in guarantees, according to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Drew Brees announced via his Instagram on Tuesday that he will return to the Saints in 2020. We'll see what that does for Taysom Hill and where he ends up next year. In baseball, Trey Turner confirmed Tuesday that he has spoken to Nationals manager Davey Martinez about moving from the leadoff spot to the number 3 spot in the lineup. The Nats will work Victor Robles at the top of the lineup in spring with hopes he can secure that leadoff spot, making Turner available at the 3. Aaron Judge was held out of batting practice on Tuesday. No word yet on Wednesday for what is being termed as, quote, maintenance on his right shoulder. Yankees manager went further. Aaron Boone said it was, quote, cranky. Astros pitching coach Brent Strom said Tuesday that Josh James looks very impressive so far in his bid to win the final spot of the club's starting rotation. I'm Dan Strafford, and this has been your Sports Grid News Update. And away we go. It's the DFS Solar Bird presented by Awesemo.com. Dan Strafford and Adam Scher along with you on this Thursday morning, getting ready for a 5-game NBA slate. We will go game by game on this here podcast. I'll bring you up to speed on Yahoo's offerings as well as they help sponsor this podcast as we roll forward. Adam, how the hell are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Away we go. The Fantasy Insider Show right here on Sirius XM Fantasy. Dan Strafford, Dave Lockren along with you for the next 2 hours talking all things fantasy sports. Dave, right off the top here, we have Cueto and Kershaw still doing battle out there on the West Coast. 2-2 currently in that contest. Plenty of runs scored across Major League Baseball, but a quick minute here on the Warriors going up 3-1 on the Cleveland Cavaliers. A big win for Steph Curry and the Warriors. Ned Yost talking about Whit Merrifield on SiriusXM MLB Radio, talking about his versatility and his good start with the squad. We bring in now Josh Vernier, at Josh Vernier 610 on Twitter. He covers the Kansas City Royals for 610 Sports Radio. Josh, how you doing tonight? It's Dan and Dave here on the Fantasy Insider Show.
Nice to be with you guys. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, appreciate you coming on. And let's start right there with Whit Merrifield. And obviously, we have a bit more of a fantasy slant to how we look at the Kansas City Royals. But what does he bring to this team? And what do you see as sort of his go forward as injuries mount in that outfield?